Yesterday was very non-active. Didn't structure, didn't do the kind of schedule that I had done Monday, Tuesday. It was much more imaginative. Kind of like last Wednesday. Last Wednesday was very imaginative. Um, what I recognized yesterday, or I'm recognizing this morning as well, is how there's a cycle that I go through, like a pendulum swinging of kind of in ways trying to find my balance, where in one way I'll go super intense. Like during this process, I went super intense one direction into stillness, presence, playing the game, getting after it, getting my ass kicked. And then there's a course correction of, okay, I need something that's more nourishing, that can be more long lasting, that's more of a balance. And that's when the imagination came in, and now the music and dancing and stuff like that. But now I'm recognizing I'm starting to get over to the other side of the swinging, where it's like too much music, or I'm not balanced with the game of presence now. And in some ways that imbalance is the balance. In some ways that back and forth swing is the balance. And there's not going to be like a perfect steady still. It's just going to be one of these. But it causes internal friction. It causes strife within myself, which again could be perfect unto itself, right? That internal strife begets self-reflection and a constant awareness. But one of the things that it does do, or not it does, but that has been very challenging for me, is the constant self-referencing that has been going on. And what I mean by that is my psyche, my organism, is constantly using me as its filter and as its relational point to the world and to reality. It's constantly comparing or judging or categorizing based on its relation to me. So if I'm doing something, what does this have to do with me? If I'm interacting with someone, what does this have to do with me? State of the world, what does this have to do with me? And I think that that's healthy to an extent. There's a healthy self-reflection, I think is really powerful, but it's pathological past a certain point. It's neurosis past a certain point. And I'm recognizing that being in this space that I'm in, I've come into the swing of the pendulum of like, oh, this is unhealthy now. Which is in part one of the reasons why I am so drawn to the game of presence. It allows me to disengage from the mind, from that neurosis, and that constant thinking. So I'm just really recognizing that. And one of the practices in non-dual meditation traditions, the union or the enlightenment is often talked about as non-dual, meaning not two. There's just one. And it's talked about in a way where the experience isn't that I, Harry, am experiencing something separate from me, but I'm in connection with it. And the two things are kind of interacting. It's more of a Harry as something separate and experience as something separate dissolve from two to one. And in the oneness, there's just experiencing. There's just the great happening that is here. And using self as a reference point in that place dissolves. And there's almost like the tension of self releases in it, floats away, and all that's left is the present moment and experiencing. And what I'm noticing is that as I play the game of presence, feeling what I see, talked about that a lot, just learning to couple my experience of reality to feeling and sensing and energetics. Helps beget that process, helps beget the non-dual in a way. Because at first, like I say, I'm looking at the camera. If I just feel the camera instead of thinking about, well, it's an iPhone 14 Pro and, this dimensions, but feeling the camera. In order for me to really feel it, I notice what immediately happens is that my body starts to loosen up. I have to open myself to the camera physically, energetically, emotionally. Yeah, and as I look around at different parts, beget a different feeling inside of me. Like looking at myself, there's a certain feeling, but then looking at the red timer, there's a different feeling. And what happens is if I really get into the feeling, the feeling becomes the experiencing. It doesn't become like it. I forget that Harry is looking at a camera and it's just what is. It's just, this is the thing that is occurring. There's no self-referencing. There's no separate identity of camera, identity of Harry that's happening. And so I'm recognizing, all this is to say, I'm recognizing there are many a philosopher, spiritual teacher, whatnot, that talk about dissolving the identity or the curse, or how self-awareness is a gift and a curse. And I'm really feeling a lot of that. I'm really feeling the sense of, it's maddening to be self-aware to an extent. And there is there's I think a tip to the ignorance is bliss piece of less self-aware people. I think it's a massive gift. But a lot of this also is to say that whether it's forgetting the self or it's letting go of it, it's almost like there's a part of me that is gripping onto the self, onto Harry and identity and my place in this world, my relationship to others, and like as if it's life or death, and it's just holding on like a buoy in a storm, and it just, I can't let go. I will drown. And yet when I am in this observed collapsed state of observing, or experience collapsed state of experiencing, or just in the great happening, or whatever non-dual experience, which again can come on, it's not crazy hard to get to. Staying there is a different story. There's such a massive release and relief. There's no experience of something being wrong or something being out of place. There's my environment and me are not two different things. On a visceral level, not conceptually, but on a felt, embodied level. And when I forget this, when I don't practice this or whatnot, there's just such a tension that comes in. So yesterday, the tension that came through around swinging too far in another direction. Yeah, this is kind of I think the response